times in his rhymes cause his memories. We running through New York so you never leave. Strap my lungs then we puffin' through with that right. But giving them some stories they come back like manic this, manic that, why you crawling to me?
Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over the N62 reliability video. So as you guys know, the N62 and N62 TU is a massive engine, especially in the US and here in the UK as well, because of the V8 powered plant. But what a lot of people ain't aware of is what actually goes wrong on this car and how much it can actually run you in terms of reliability, because this car does go wrong and it does warrant a lot of repairs and a lot of expensive repairs as well. So the first one, as you guys will see here, is the Valvetronic motors. They are plagued in issues and do like to go wrong, and you guys know what I mean by that. If you have got an N62 and you've ever had one fail, you know what I mean. You'll lose all low down power with the Valvetronic motor not working, and your car will also fail to start them not working. They are not cheap for the N62. They're running about £150 each, and like I said, they both have to be replaced because it uses two on them, and it's something that needs to be replaced because they do fail and will fail on the N62 at any given time. And as you guys know, they sit straight up on the N62 like that. In the valve covers itself, they don't sit flat like they do on the N52. So therefore, they're under a lot more pressure than what the ones are on the N52, because the way the cogs turning on the eccentric shaft backwards and forwards, upwards, instead of being flat surface to come backwards and forwards, so they're under a lot more strain as well as a lot more heat. The next one on these guys is the coolant pipe under the manifold. Now everyone knows about this. This is a common problem in the US. They already come up with a redesign to not have to remove the manifold for this, because as you guys know, it's a plastic pipe that sits under the manifold. It's a coolant transfer pipe, and it ends up breaking and splitting, and then what ends up happening is you end up with coolant loss and also with the car nearly overheating. Now in America, they have redesigned and made a coolant transfer pipe which you can just replace without having to take the manifold off, which you'll see here. It's like a metal design which you can just slot in without taking the manifold off and replace it, but you have to cut the old one off. It's not an easy job by any means, and you have to be very careful, and it is quite time consuming. And this is the reason why a lot of people get rid of these V8s, because of that main reason, because when you take it to a garage, it ends up costing about $2,000 to nearly $5,000 just to have that done. So if you are having that problem, the kit's up here, and like I said, you guys will know that it does fail. So if you are looking to buy one, just make sure that has been done. Most owners should buy now. If you're looking to buy one under 100k, if you're looking to buy one over 100k, it should have been done already, so you shouldn't have to worry about having to do it yourself. The next one on these guys is the Pcbs. Now these rupture and they're very easy to get to. They're not like the other BMW engines where they sit on the manifold. They sit on top on the valve cover, and they are replaceable, and you can buy used ones. There is two of them. You have to be aware of that, and sometimes they rupture, which is common on the N62 engine. They end up rupturing, causing you to throw blue smoke or sometimes even white smoke because oil's getting into the manifold. Now what ends up happening as well is these end up rupturing. A lot of people don't realise they let too much oil get into their manifold, which in turn ends up getting into the cylinders and destroying the valve stem seals. Now I would advise you to check your CCV before checking your valve stem seals, which we'll come on to next, because the CCVs are known to rupture and destroy themselves. It always goes misdiagnosed on these cars, and people start jumping to valve stem seals immediately when it's not actually the case. These are very cheap to buy, and they're very easy to replace. They sit on top of the valve covers and everyone can get to them, and just take them off and check them to make sure they're not ruptured. If they are, replace them immediately before you go and replace your valve stem seals, see if that cures the problem. If not, then as I say, the next problem will be the valve stem seals. They do go on the N62 engines, everyone knows that. You guys know what I recommend to use, the Forte seal conditioner. If you do get that, make sure you use 5 bottles for that engine, because it is a big engine. It uses nearly 6 to 7 litres of oil. So you need to make sure it mixes in. It is a very thin liquid. Make sure you change the oil beforehand and then drop it in, because that's the best way you can do it, is to drop the oil and Forte seal conditioner in together, new oil and the seal conditioner, because the seal conditioner is very thin, and like I said, it needs to work with new oil. It was no point in you working with old oil because it just won't work properly. That is the best way to fix them valve stem issues. I know in the US you guys get charged probably about $5,000 to $6,000 just to repair that, and it's not right. So therefore, Forte seal conditioner does do the job right. I've had many people buy it and had huge luck with it, and it does work. We use it here all the time, and so do garages here in the UK as well. So I recommend you use that if you've got the valve stem issues on the N62 engine. The next one on these guys on the N62s is the valve cover gaskets. Now again, there's two of them, there's 2 valve covers on them, and yes, they do like to leak, and when they leak, they will leak oil everywhere on the engine, and you guys already know about this. And they're not hard to replace at all. It's just the same as replacing any kind of BMW valve gasket. And yes, I know a lot of you say, why is this happening to all BMWs? Every BMW suffers valve cover gasket issues. BMW's own gaskets are crap, everyone knows that, and the only way about it is to just replace them with a proper one like a Victor range, and make sure you replace both of them. There is two, so it's going to be double the cost. But this is the point of running a V8. It is going to get expensive, but it's nothing to be concerned about. If you are having problems with it, just make sure, like I say, you take it easy, especially the Valvetronic motors as well, when taking them off to access the valve cover. So the next one on this, guys, is the alternator bracket on the N62. Now, many of you don't know, and if you're not aware of this, but many people are already aware of this because they would have replaced it already, is they've got a seal inside that which ends up leaking oil. It's a little gasket, which is just like an oil filter housing gasket, and it ends up leaking oil, which ends in turn causing oil to leak down straight onto the block and obviously your sump as well. So if you ain't replaced that on your N62, I would recommend to go and do that and go and check. It's right up here. You guys will see it. It does leak oil and it's quite a fiddly job to get to. So if you don't know how to do it, I'm sure there's many people out there who's already done it, and there are probably a lot of videos online about it. But it is a common failure point, and if you are going around searching for your oil leaks, this is probably the one culprit that many people go unmisdiagnosed from. It is this one right here, which is the alternator bracket on them, which does leak from it. So I would advise going to replace it, and it's not expensive at all. It's quite a cheap part, so just make sure you take it out. It's more fiddly to get out than it is to actually do. Just make sure you take it out and redo the seal, so that way you've got a leak-free engine. Okay guys, so we've just gone over the N62 reliability video. As you see, there it is, quite a lot of things on the N62 that does fail, and they can be quite expensive. This is why a lot of people are put off by them, because of that reason, because it's quite expensive to run, as well as the fuel cost, especially here in the UK, and bearing in mind with the road tax as well. But it's not to say that this engine ain't reliable. It can be reliable, it just needs to be cared for like a baby, or a kitten as you might call it, or a puppy, because it needs a lot of care and attention, more attention than a normal car actually needs. But it's not to say that this car ain't reliable and it ain't quick. It is very quick, and it is worth the money if you're willing to put the money into it. But if you're not, I would stay right away from this car, because it's not the kind of car that you can just come into a BMW or you can jump straight into. This is not the type of engine for your normal novice. I mean, for myself, yes, I could own one, but for the normal person, I would not recommend them just jumping straight onto this engine, like most people think, because they want the power. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. This is BMW Dr. Dean. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.